All right, everybody, we're going to go ahead and get started. We'll have a couple other committee members join us in a few moments and more people kind of coming in, but we're going to go ahead and get started and call to order this meeting. We've established a quorum here. It is 5:32, potentially 5:33 p.m. It is Tuesday, May 12th, 2026. We are at vote our call for the Fannin County Lake Economic Development Committee meeting. So thank you all for being here. If you haven't had an opportunity, we have a sign-in sheet at the front for public forum. I'll give just another minute for everybody to sign up for that. If nobody else wants to raise their hand, we'll go ahead and move on to public forum, which I believe we have one sign up for public forum today. You can click the next slide. Come on. So here's a look at the agenda. We have agendas on the table here in case you weren't able to get a hold of one. This is just a discussion-based conversation today for the committee.
I want to talk to you about roads. We've got developments going in and the county roads are insufficient to handle the traffic going in and out of those developments. That's a little disconcerting. How do we deal with that? Conversation basically went something like this. We never done anything with our roads before. There's no reason for us to waste time doing things about roads. That's the response I got from one of our commissioners. I'm summarizing. We need to encourage our commissioners to plan ahead and try not to have areas where you got 100 homes going in and you got a road that you can't get a fire truck down. The caveat emptor doesn't work all the time. It doesn't help our community develop, so I just bring that to everyone's attention. If we're going to let somebody develop a ballpark out in the middle of nowhere and they plug into a county road and you're going to have traffic jams getting into that and accidents and deaths, you don't want that. We've got a public duty, we need to be mindful of that. That sums it up. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. All right, anybody else want to speak in public forum? Going once, going twice. All right, we're going to move on to agenda item number 3, approval of minutes from April 14th, 2026, our regular meeting. I don't know, all the committee members here have had a chance to review everything. I think we have, for record purposes, everybody but Gary Mills is here and William is here as well. So we'll make note of that if they show up, but just for the record for this meeting, when we do the meeting minutes. But any feedback from the group, any corrections on the April minutes? I believe that was digital sent to the group for records.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Guy made the motion to approve the meeting minutes. Do we have a second?
Second.
A second from Commissioner Koff. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
All approved. All right, we'll keep it rolling. So we just wanted to briefly touch discussion item number 4. It is regarding the future land use map for Bois Lake. So we did have a motion last month made on this to move forward with reclassifying the zoning on the future land use map within the buffer zones along US 82. So Di has been working very hard on the public notice side of this, and just wanted to give a quick update on next steps and what we're looking for. Oh, there you go. You're good. No, that's the map from last month to give you a look at where we were targeting in this conversation. These particular areas here in red along US 82 are all potential commercial targets for the future land use map. So that is what the motion was last month. And if we click to the next slide, so we did identify the parcels located within those zones. Di went through and manually pulled out all of the North Texas properties, all the properties with relevant flood zones on it to make sure, anybody who's going to build on it can't build in a flood zone. So we needed to account for that as well. So Di has been working to finalize that, and next step is to set a public notice that will run in the Fannin County Leader. That'll run for about 15 to 21 days. There's 2 different groups that'll be notified through this. We've got the Bois Lake Zoning Commission first. That meeting is on June 4th. That will be where we have the deadline to, I believe, collect protests. ahead of time, present our findings on the different parcels that were listed in that public notice, notify that committee with the zoning commission of that, hopefully get their recommendation to move forward with this change. If recommended, we will be going to commissioners court for that vote of approval or rejection on the 9th, which is the next day that we meet. So if all goes according to plan, we'll be meeting again on June 9th for our typical meeting with marching orders of if this went through or if we need to reconsider and come up with a different strategy. So that is next steps. Just want to keep everybody looped into the process that it's just happening behind the scenes right now. So lots of moving pieces, and I don't know if you had anything specific to add, but thought I'd open up to you in case there was anything special.
Just one of my concerns right now is trying to find out from the North Texas Municipal Water District, what parcels they have the 500 G no build easement on, because it might make some of the parcels actually not very buildable.
Yeah.
And I probably need to pull them out, but they may not make good commercial spots.
Perfect. Good call out. So yeah, we'll be working through that over the next month to identify, any parcels that are red flags that probably won't meet the criteria to actually be commercial, but these zones give us a good idea to move forward and work through that process. So just wanted to call that out. All right, next up, this is a discussion-only topic related to Cypress Point and the Highlands at Cypress Point pit. We do have a presentation today by Mr. Dan Cooper here, the developer of Cypress Point. So we got a lot of great slides to go through. If Dan wants to take the floor, it'll go through, it'll prompt you, so
Thank you so
follow
much.
along.
Yeah, so I'm the developer of a subdivision. Steve is here helping me on this, and has been with us for a couple of years on this project as well. So we've been working on this since, when I say working on, I bought the property in 2020. It was a collection of about 8 or 9 separate parcels, and then we have hopefully future phases that are going to be coming and filling in right here as well for other partners that we have that own land that would connect these two pieces. Geographically, this is located along FM 1743. Highway 82 runs down here, so you run straight up north on 1743. And the reason why this southern section is part of the development in the beginning is because we have water lines that run up and down 1743. There's an 8-inch water line there where there's only a 2-inch water line that runs up 2960. And we wanted to have a nice entrance, and we wanted to be able to shortcut our utilities straight into the development. Speaking of roads, Judge, we will actually be doing a privately maintained public road along County Road 2960. So this is going from a 40-foot roadway up to a 60-foot wide roadway with 20 foot of utility easements on either side. So we have all of our engineering study stuff on that. Our plat has been approved. It was approved, I guess, about a month ago.
The preliminary plat.
The preliminary plat was approved about a month ago, and we got the public improvement district through County Commissioner's Court just a week and a half ago. So public improvement district, if any of you are unaware, what it is a tax zone that is specifically around these geographic areas. So in a public improvement district, there are no additional taxes being collected from the county at all. Not from anybody else except for the property owners that are going to be purchasing here. Until I sell any lots, I'm the only payer on the public improvement district. Once we sell off individual lots, of course, disclosure is going to be given to each of the different property owners that not just the right of ways, but the roadways, the parks, the infrastructure of the entire development is funded purely by taxable dollars that are paid in property taxes and collected by the tax assessor on these individual properties to be able to fund those improvements, which is a great way for us to be able to do it. It's a great way for counties to be able to grow and improve roadways so that you don't have log jams of fire trucks trying to get down, a 40-foot right-of-way dirt road. Or I guess this is a dirt road that comes through here, and this is like a rock road that comes through here. So that does alleviate our problem. It allows for emergency services to get in and out, and then it allows for easy flow of traffic for 2 lanes. So in our phase, I'm calling this phase 1. We have 111 total lots. We have, I believe it's 29 dockable lakefront, along with some other non-dockable lakefront. We have, as far as parks go, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 public parks, and again, these are public parks with a public improvement district. even though the taxes are funded and go straight to the development and collected by the county tax assessor, these parks are open to the county as a whole, not just to individual people that live inside of development. So right here we have a boat dock that's coming in, and the boat dock slips specifically, we're allowed the water district allows us to have 20 slips for properties that are non-dockable. So people that live in here are able to buy a boat slip. But the park area and all the outdoor amenities are open to the community as a whole. We have an amphitheater park here. We have a boardwalk that's open to the county as well. With the boardwalk, it'll actually be I'm trying to think of the word, a slatted park walkway with a fishing pier that goes over the water. We're still trying to, we have to go through the process with the Army Corps of Engineers for our dredging plan, to be able to deepen this out a little bit, and that'll take us a little while. But it'll be a beautiful park area that's open to the public. Down here we have playground equipment and normal park equipment and whatnot. And then in this section we'll have pickleball courts, volleyball courts, and we'll have more of that right here in this part of the development as well. The entire development is lined with running and walking trails. This is heavily wooded, so and none of that's changing. So we're keeping the woods there, and there'll be a crushed granite path that weaves through all the different streets and ties these two sections together. The county actually has a park plan, and I'm not sure where that is at the moment. But I guess the water district had shown it in their original shoreline management.
Yeah, that
but big
comprehensive plan has it,
right,
but
for
it's not
equestrian
actually
trails.
being worked on, so.
Right, so it's not actually being worked on, but we're making it so if the county does pursue that in the future, that can be integrated with the parks system and the trails that are already planned with the county along. This is County Road 2955. So it would also be able to integrate with that. Do you want to go to the next slide?
Yeah, let's click through, there's several slides here to let you get more in depth.
You can go to the next one. These are just our main entrances, our entrance options that come off of County Road 1743. So it's opposed to taking traffic down County Road 2951 and up 2960, which are narrow. All the traffic is going to be diverted straight to the middle of the development. So the general architecture is going to be Texas Hill Country, predominantly one story. We have a very comprehensive set of HOA guidelines that people are going to have to abide by whenever they build. And a lot of that is the fact that most of these structures are going to be one story, or if not one story, they have to have a minimum square footage of I don't remember what the square footage is in my head, but have to have a minimum of X amount of square feet to be able to have second story, but fairly low profile and working inside of the confines of the trees. What we're not looking to do is to clear cut and to put, mini mansions or anything like that, big gaudy housing. We want this to work underneath the canopy of trees as much as possible and be fairly low profile. Although they will be very high-end single family residences. Go to the next slide. All right, so we have the subdivision right now is broken up into two different sections, of course. This is our dockable lakefront, so I already went over the parks, and there's another exhibit in here. I want to say there's somewhere around, Steve, you may know this better than me, around, 53 properties in the north section, and about 58 or so in the south. It's a total of 111. 111 for this phase. But we have parks that are scattered around in those trails that come through, and we'll also run along County Road 2960. You go to the next one, that should just be the southern section. Yep, same thing, so you can see we'll have parks here, and there's another park right here as well. And this is a heavy canopy of trees down in this area as well. And again, the way that the architecture is going to work is fairly minimal designs to where you're not seeing, it's not like a neighborhood in Frisco, Texas or something like that, where you're 5 feet away from a neighbor and you can see straight through everybody's window. So this is just kind of another image of what the boardwalks are going to look like, what the running trails are going to look like through the property. Of course, I mentioned volleyball courts, pickleball courts, and again, the big benefit to the county is these are open to the public, so you don't have to be a resident inside to be able to use this. You just have to drive to the development, and then they are open to the public. You can keep going. All right, so this is our community boat dock area. The only things that are private are inside of the amenity buildings, because if they are public, then there's an issue about how to lock them up and keep them secure. Everything outside is public. Inside is going to be card access just by the homeowners association. You can click through here. Okay, this is that same structure. So we're having just a small gaming yard, a barbecue area out in this area, fire pit, things like that. This leads down to our main boat launch for the community dock. You can keep going. These are essentially just some images of what that will look like. Up in that northern section as well, this has actually been replaced. We have one pickleball court and one volleyball court that's going up into that northern section as well, along with golf cart parking. Okay, you can keep going. All right, this is the boardwalk area that I was mentioning, which, since we have to involve the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for some of this stuff to be able to go over water, we had to get approval, of course, through them and through the water district, which we have all of our plans approved with the North Texas Municipal Water District as well to be able to move forward to that next phase. But that next phase had to include, of course, the pit had to be done, our CCNRs had to be done, and now we have to work on engineering for things like the bridge. But anything that was going on the water district property, which is below 541 feet above sea level, has to be engineered and approved by them. But this is just kind of a visual image, or again, if that boardwalk park area that will be in there. And again, we have these fishing piers that are on either side of this big iron span bridge. And since it's open to the full lake, the fishing should be pretty good.
Are the piers floating?
What was that?
Are the piers floating or?
Not on this. This is a big elevated bridge. So elevated such so that even like not a full boat would be able to get in there because it becomes too shallow back in this direction. But kayaks, canoes, things like that people could launch. On the property for the private boat docks, they are allowed to have pole docks or floating docks. I would anticipate most people are probably going to want floating docks because it's not a constant level lake. We keep going. All right. We again just threw in some visual representation of what that would look like. This is one of the parks on the south side where we'll actually have playground equipment and open lawn areas inside of the trees. Steve's going to work on an amazing treehouse design for us in the section. So we found some large oak trees, which is what he does, and he does a really good job with that. But again, this is also a representation, you can only see part of it now, of our running trails that are going to be connected through, and they'll actually be running up through these roads as well. You can go to the next. Yep, and keep going. One more. Well, actually, let me talk about the preservation real quick. So on the property, this is actually in a future phase. It's in the Pettigrew, the original Pettigrew plat. That was the family that originally acquired the land in 1833. So there is a cemetery on it. When that phase is done, we don't have the master plan for that. That's for later. That Pettigrew cemetery would be incorporated as a park. So we're not abandoning history or anything like that. That will be incorporated into the project. There's another cemetery that is right along County Road 2960. And so we've had a lot of discussions with the property owner there as well, because it, unbeknownst to everybody, the county road actually goes straight over the cemetery easement. So the existing county road. So that even had to be diverted a little bit to make sure that it wasn't running over any of those old cemetery easements. But we are preserving the history of the area, and we're honoring that, not just building over it. And you can keep going. So we talked about community gathering. We have a very small pocket park in between a whole bunch of our different lots that was up in the northern section. We're going to be doing a small amphitheater. This would be for Memorial Day gatherings, 4th of July gatherings. It is a public park as well, but it would be one that people could rent out for parties and things like that, or just reserved for parties and whatnot. Not big scale concerts, but small community gathering events. And then this is our main amenity center. So right here would be Highway 7, Farno Arc 1743. And as you come into our main entrance, we'll have a big pond actually that'll exist here. and an amenity building, which again, the interior is gonna be private for the HOA. Everything outside, volleyball courts, pickleball courts, and all the little games and whatnot are again open to the public. But this will be kind of the grand entry to the neighborhood. And then, okay, actually, let me talk about this. I'm gonna have to go back several slides. So let me talk about one of the proposals for the zoning would be, just like we talked about with, along Highway 82, about different areas that we could recommend for future commercial zoning. We will have a very, very small, it's up to about 5-acre area that is at the entrance of our neighborhood, right along 1743, that is a proposed commercial district. When I say commercial district, I mean coffee shop, like coffee shop / bookstore / donut shop, and neighborhood services for our neighborhood, and then for future developments that could go up to some of the property that, the Reed Ranch, for example, is up 1743, and then you take a right. So someday when things like that are developed, right now there are no places to go buy, a loaf of bread and bananas and whatnot. The type of services that we're talking about exist in large part in communities like Carlton's Landing. That's up in Oklahoma at Lake Eufaula, and they have a very small. Usually their stores are open Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, and whatnot. Very limited hours, but we're talking about very small shops where people are buying paper plates, napkins, toilet paper and a pound of beef or something like that. But very small commercial. So if you'll go back towards the beginning, where you saw the big master plan, I'm going to point out exactly where we're proposing for that, all the way to the beginning. There, right there. Okay, right here is where that would go. So this is FM 1743, right at the entrance, and this little section right there is the proposal for that small retail shopping. Again, this is the reason why this is not filled in is right now there's nobody to be able to service. There's no client base for anything like this.
How many acres is that?
This is 5. This is 5 acres. On 5 acres, we're probably realistically looking at something like 2 to 3 shops that would be built there in the future. And like I said, just for small neighborhood services to be able to service residents of this and anybody else that would eventually develop on here. But if we were to build it now, frankly, there's nobody to shop there. I think we did a traffic study right here with TxDOT to see if we need a deceleration lane. And Steve was a traffic engineer, and I think what was the requirement for a deceleration lane? Wasn't it like 1,000 cars per day?
Yeah, I mean, even in peak hour, 100 cars, so we barely got 100 cars in the whole day.
I think we had 54 cars in it per day, something like that. So I think that was probably a busy day along FM 1743 up in this area. Which is why we would not build on this yet. But we want to make sure that we have the ability to be able to get it zoned for that, so that we do have some neighborhood services to where people are not having to drive, into town to Bonham to go to Brookshire's or something like that, just to be able to pick up some paper towels. So that, or a cup of coffee or donuts or whatnot. We want this to be a community where kids are running around, biking around, or families are walking and getting to know people, which is why we have all the different community parks and the trails. And we would want people to be able to come to walk down into this and be able to shop, when I say shop, cup of coffee, donuts for Saturday morning, things like that. So that is a proposal that we want to talk about. It was then, Diane and I were actually talking about, that's why this section, we originally put in for a PD when we did our initial zoning change, opposed to just the regular 1-acre development. Which should be said, of course, every lot in here is a minimum of 1 acre. So we're not doing any kind of dense zoning or anything like that. It's anywhere from 1 to about almost 3-acre properties in here. So, does anybody have any questions about any of these? Yeah, go ahead.
Could you build me like a place where I can pull up and get a hamburger?
No problem. That's exactly what we'll do right there. We'll just throw it right here at the boardwalk, and we'll just toss the burger out.
Especially out here.
Yeah.
Why don't you do that on one of the 20 slips? You can have a little commercial.
I think that'd be a great idea. Yeah, I think the water district would have something to say about that, about commercial industries on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Has the Marina and the slips been approved by North Texas?
Yes, so it's not a public marina. There can only be, right now they're only giving out one public marina permit, which, has that even been determined exactly where that's going to be yet?
Not officially.
I've got an
Not-
update later in the day
Okay.
on that, so.
Perfect. So this is not a public marina. This is literally just a community boat dock slip, which we're allowed to have 20 slips. That's it per dock. So,
It's been approved.
yeah, the engineering has not been approved, but the design that we have in here has now been approved after about 17 different drafts of different ways to be able to make that fit. Yeah, everything in this process is very complicated because, of course, with the water district, with the Army Corps of Engineers, with the county, with the zoning district, there's a lot of different groups that you have to get approvals for each of these different items whenever you're talking about lakefront property. So although I've owned the land since about 2020, we were advised by another group who built Long Cove down at Cedar Creek Lake, I should say. They said it would be a horrible mistake to sell any lot or even develop before this lake was filled and open. So we took their advice and we put together an original plan, and then we were anxiously awaiting Jennifer and the rest of the group over there at North Texas Water District, Municipal Water District, as to when is this lake actually going to open. So we really started pressing into our engineering around August 2024, and that's when we put in for our zoning changes and spent, of course, a lot of time and resources on engineering for this entire project. But and now there are some other very beautiful developments, obviously, on the lake. We do feel like ours is very different based off of the topography and the trees that we have. So the developments that exist right now, although there are going to be some very nice houses on there, in the manner in which they sold the development, we're not going that approach. We are going to have a sales day and a sales event, but it's not first come first served auction style like some of the other ones have done. The problem with that is you pick up all these different investors that want to just come in and then they buy a property. The minute they close on it, the property goes back up on the market for sale. And that's why if you looked at MLS or Realtor.com or Zillow, you see all these different lots for sale because people never intended to own them. We're going through a sale day process of unrolling. Here are the lots that we have, but we're taking regular contracts. And we will have a builder approval process. We're not trying to sell to investors at all. I'm going to be living in this lot right here, and some of my business partners are living in these lots right here, and Steve's going to be right here, right? So we have a personal stake in this to make it nice and to make this a place where it actually develops quickly. Property owners will actually be fined if they do not begin construction within a 2-year period of time that they start. Yes.
Like flippers bother me.
What does?
Flippers.
Right. Yeah.
Particularly when it's sold 4 or 5 times and each time the property value drops down.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah.
And I guess I want to understand exactly what you're doing. Are these build-to-suit lots? Are the builders going to be the people controlling the lots? What's your trick to keep the flippers out? And I know of lots that have been sold 3 times already.
Sure.
And, Barry wins the lottery, he wants to risk his money, he decides he can't afford it anymore, so he sells it at a discount, who sells it at another discount,
Right.
and it damages the neighborhoods and the development. What's your trick?
Yeah, so one of the reasons why that happens is because when a developer I'm not trying to pick on Lakewood, I don't know if anybody from Lakewood is in here, but the process is, how fast can we get out of the development? Let's just get out as fast as possible. And so when the peninsula developed, to be honest, it undersold. It honestly undersold what they could have done had they waited a little bit more time. They sold in May 2023. There was almost no water in the lake in 2023. But they had money burning hole through their pocket because they're in so many different developments. And they build nice developments, but they will sell to anybody. I will not sell to anybody. So we are selling to a few custom home builders for sure, that essentially will have a lot with different clientele that has already expressed interest in the property. Outside of that, we're selling to regular people with contracts, and a lot of these people I've collected names, and I have a list of almost 150 different people that have been waiting on lots. Hey, are you selling lots yet? And the answer was no, I'm not, because before I had an approved plat, preliminary plat, or I had my public improvement district filed, I couldn't disclose what I needed to disclose in an actual sales contract to be able to get this done. So I've been fielding those questions for now 6 years. How many lots do you have left? I'm like, well, all of them, because I haven't started selling yet. And when we do start selling, we're not just selling to people that are random investors. We're trying to sell to people who we really believe are going to build, but it's that time frame of the 2 years that they have to start building, or else they start paying significant fines. And it doesn't matter whether they're trying to sell their lots or not. They start paying fines at that 2 years if they have not started the construction process. Opposed to whenever you go to some of the other different developments, it's just, hey, it's your lot, do with whatever you want to do, and they can sit on it for 5 years, 10 years, try to sell it, doesn't matter, there's nothing that's pressing that says they have to start building in a specific time. So that is our hope. It's hard to keep, it's hard to say that people can't change their mind and, oh, they were expecting to build, now they can't build, but they own a lot, and so they are allowed to be able to sell. But if somebody goes in with that mindset that they're just going to buy a lot and sit on it for 10 years and maybe put it on the market and see if it appreciates, they're going to be paying some significant fines during that period of time, because I will be living there and Steve will be living there. We want to see this thing actually develop, and the county's going to want that as well. The county economic impact at build that is roughly about $1.7 million a year in taxable income, and that does not include the public improvement district. That's just the school district and the county tax rate. So it's about $510,000 a year towards the county, and about it's almost $1.2 million towards the Honey Grove ISD, which, if I'm not wrong, I think that does something like, it's almost 5% of the total current budget for Fannin County, and I want to say it's 40% or 37% or something like that for the Honey Grove ISD school district. So it's significant dollars, but that's when it's built out. It's much more even when the lots are sold and the county is able to tax each one at its actual value, not an agricultural value. But it's of course substantially greater when these homes are built. But for a community that I and Steve and my other business partners are going to be a part of, we're not interested in sitting there and watching vacant lots grow weeds for the next 5 to 10 years, which is why we're trying to put the controls on there to make sure that when we're selling lots, these are people that are going to build. And the best avenue that we have legally is to say we can start finding somebody if they do not start building within this period of time, even if they have a for sale sign in front. Hopefully that answers your question.
The fine does.
The fine does, yeah. So, yes.
Will you be working with real estate agents?
Yes, absolutely. So it'll be normal commissions and whatnot for buyers agents and whatnot that bring us. We started playing around with some different dates, some different sale dates. We have still a lot of press marketing that we want to do, be able to get it to a day. What we're not doing is a 1 day only sale, come out and first person, like I said, or auction style or anything like that. This is to preview lots and start taking in contracts. Yes.
Sorry, so you can put a price on each lot?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And are you going to start taking bidding after that, or are you going
Yep,
to
so
just stay that price and
before-
customers are-
Yeah, before that sales event, we'll start releasing actually what our prices are for each individual lot. And the purpose of the sales event is for, just like somebody's gonna come look at any piece of land that's on MLS or a house that's on the market. It's, hopefully we have 1,600 people that show up. Maybe we have 50 people show up. We don't know what that will look like, but our marketing efforts are pressed to try to get as many people as we possibly can. But if you're an agent, you have a client who's looking at a property, and they say, hey, I really want lot 2, right? The way to do that is turn in an offer for lot 2. We're going to sort through everybody, and it's not just going to be what's the most expensive lot. It's, are you going to build, right? Are you aware that you have to build within this certain time period? And we're going to be talking to these different people, not necessarily in an interview fashion, but we're trying to filter out investors who are just buy and hold. And so after that sale date, then for every individual lot, my team will go back and review what contracts or what offers we have for each individual one. And then we're making decisions on who to sell to. Of course, we're in this to try to make some money. So if I have an offer that's up here, it's gonna get our attention compared to an offer that's down here. But we'll be advising people that come in with your highest and best offer as if there's going to be competition. Yes.
Let me ask you about your penalty, your fine,
Sure.
or your assessment, whatever we want to call it.
Yep.
Probably goes to HOA.
Correct.
And I'm assuming I can't escape it by selling to someone new. sell to one entity that sells to another entity that sells to another entity.
Oh, as long as it's an arm's length, that if it's non-arm's
Then it
length.
can get rid of the fine?
So,
Or will it continue to?
no, it would start, that would start over with the new owner. So in other words, if I was to sell it or transfer it to my wife or my child or whatnot, anything that's non-arm's length, the fine persists.
If I'm selling to an LLC, how are you gonna know
Correct.
it's not one of my other?
Well, we can look up filings for that. And so with inside of the HOA, we can, if we see a deed that's going to an LLC, we can't ultimately see who, if this is a LLC or short
Unless
sole
it's
proprietorship.
Nevada, and I don't think they let you see who owns it.
Maybe, yeah, that's possible. We're gonna, like I said, we'll do everything that we can to try to prevent that, because again, we have a vested interest in this. We're not doing this one and then going back to Tennessee, right? We're here, we're gonna be living inside of this development. We have a vested interest that we want this to develop, and we want it to develop quickly.
Do
So-
you legally have to reset the clock, or could you make the clock from the original seller and then make it?
So the reason why we would reset the clock is because it takes a while for somebody to put together a set of building plans and you know, have a concept of what they're doing. Sometimes somebody's going to buy a lot and take a year to be able to interview different home builders and come up with, you know, 1 or 2 or 5 different designs. But within a 2-year period of time, somebody's going to have an idea. It makes the properties, it would make the properties almost unsellable for somebody if they said, hey, by the way, there's a fine, you're gonna have to buy and start building right now, or you're gonna have to start paying fines. But if it's a non-arm's length transaction, of course, then that fine can persist with that individual homeowner. So,
And just to clarify, that 2-year rule goes into effect when they break ground
When they
or
purchase.
complete?
when they break ground.
Got
When
it.
they break ground. So if they've started construction, then they're starting construction. Nobody's starting construction and putting up half of the house and then sitting, because then there's loans and there's materials and there's things at stake for them. But it's from time of beginning construction. Normal construction for a home like this is gonna be in the 8 to 12 month period of time, and that's gonna be normal, so.
Do you have to connect a couple of dots, like you said, it will have an HOA, but because there's a PID,
Yes,
the amenities and the
Good
parks
point.
are gonna be public, so it's one of the benefits that come with the PID process, is it won't be a gated community, it'll be available and accessible to the public because of that funding mechanism.
absolutely, and as far as, like exactly what you were saying, Judge, with the roads, right? These roads, and what's funny is Diane, I had to work through this, for a while when we were working with Hayter Engineering, which is the county's engineering firm. There was, during the application processes, it's either a public road and it's publicly maintained, or it's a private road with private maintenance. We said, well, it's neither of those two. This is a public road with private maintenance, so that homeowners association actually has to keep up with the maintenance of the roads and the parks and all the different amenities. So it is a benefit to the county. The county has absolutely no carrying cost expense with it whatsoever. All maintenance is on the homeowners, but that is not partially, that's wholly because of the PID. So it's not a gated community where nobody can drive through it. The public has to be able to access this because of the public funding of the public improvement district. So anybody else have any other questions? All right, well, thank you so much. So again, just the only call to action would be this one section. We're trying to get zoned into future commercial so that we have a place for people to buy a loaf of bread or a donut on Saturday morning and whatnot. So that would be my request with this, and that's why we put that in there as a PD. But this part will not be built in the beginning. We have to have this develop out, and these sections here would be owned and maintained by my group, opposed to selling lots or anything like that. We would build them and we would run the stores ourselves. So, thank you all so much for letting me talk.
A few times there. All right, lots of good information there. I know it's a lot to digest, but we'll have this presentation available. You know, if you want to browse through it, it'll be publicly available on the landing page for the Lake Committee. So lots of good information there, and just really want to reiterate, this is a great step forward for Fannin County. You know, this a big reason for this group is for public access to this lake, and this helps solve one of those issues. So just want to call that out. This is great progress. But next up, we're moving on to agenda item number 6. This is also discussion only, new economic development topics in the county lake region. So I do have a few notes I wanted to go over with everybody. If you want to pop to the next slide here. So here's an overview of what we're going to be talking about here. We got a brief marina update. We have a final plat approved. We've got an update for 2 different Lake Route Hall items, and then just touching base on some housekeeping, some local elections. So if we want to click to the next page here, we got our marina update. So pretty much underlined is what you need to know. That's the main gist of this slide here. But the North Texas Real Estate Committee met on April 29th in executive session. That is the group that sees this first. They are the ones in contract negotiations behind the scenes for North Texas. Once they come to an agreement, then they move forward with the recommendation, just like we see here in our county. We have many committees that make recommendations to Commissioners Court, exact same process for North Texas. So their real estate committee would make that recommendation to move forward on a contract, and then their board of directors has the discretion of if they approve it, deny it, or want more changes and kick it back to that committee. So they were in executive session, so we did not have that privy information, but I did speak with an executive at North Texas that looped me into where we're at. Big information here is that they are still in contract negotiations between the potential marina bid winner lawyers and the North Texas lawyers at this time. So this has been ongoing. They said they've made substantial progress in the December timeframe of last year. They've been working on this very hard over the last 4 months specifically. It's been a little bit more front facing on their side of the house. They're really starting to press that forward, especially as we get into the summer and fall time frame here. I know realistically the next real estate committee meeting, they meet bi-monthly. So they'll be meeting at the end of June. So June 24th is their next meeting. It's the 4th Wednesday of the month. And their board of directors meeting happens that following day, which is on the 4th Thursday of the month, which would be June 25th. I don't know how the disclosures work with, public notice. I think it would actually fall in their July meeting if they did approve something in that June meeting. I would say realistically though, for expectations, we're not going to see a lot out of this until into Q3, Q4 time frame as they work through contract negotiations. So there's a lot of moving parts to this conversation. As we mentioned, there's only one bid winner for a marina on this lake, and they want to get it right. So we want to make sure that it is of the utmost quality. We want to make sure that obviously North Texas is for the water quality. They want to make sure that's being preserved while also, working with this marina bid potential winner to make sure the economic development factor is happening, because obviously they're building a very high dollar marina here. They want to make sure they're getting the most out of their investment. So lots of moving parts on this, but the big feedback here is that it's in lawyer limbo right now. So more to come in the coming months, and I'll keep you all looped in. Steve, I think you might have had a question.
Yeah, on the bid that they took, was there anything in that, RFP about the timing of things?
Originally, there were some, rough estimates of when they were expecting. I would say the last update I had, we were expecting more information at the end of last year. I had Q3, Q4 of 25 in my head from what I had read, but there's been a lot of things that have transpired in negotiations that both groups haven't accounted for, that they need to make sure is covered in legal language. So they're making sure it's ironclad at this point, which is why I think there's a delay in this approval process. But I think realistically now it's looking at Q3, Q4 of 26 that we'll start to see more information come out related to this.
But once it's approved and awarded, do they have any timeline as to when they would require them to start construction or be open or anything?
So as soon as that contract is available, I will get a hold of it and be able to tell you that answer. Until that ink is dry, they're not announcing anything publicly. They have a very good idea of who the winner is, clearly, because they're in negotiations with them. They have a very good idea of where it's going to be, but they are not willing to release that publicly until that ink is dry. They make sure all their terms are locked in before they put it out to the public that this is what's happening. So more to come, but we will get a hold of that contract when the time is right. I know Judge and several other of the commissioners are involved in that conversation, so as soon as it's available, we'll be on top of it. Awesome. Any other questions about the marina? I know not the greatest of update, but it is progress, so we'll keep on moving forward.
Next.
Next, you got it. All right, next up, we have approval, I believe this morning, from Commissioners Court of the final plat for Hidden Oaks. This is Lakewood Capital Group that we referenced here briefly. This, I believe, is their 5th or 6th community on this lake. So they've got a couple of those coming out. This is their last one that I'm aware of, unless they've got a couple more, hiding in the woodworks. But this is a 43 lot community on 58 acres off County Road 2980. This is very close to the 5 Points community and the South 1396 boat ramp, if you're familiar with that area of the lake. It's tucked up in there. It's a lot less. There's a handful of lakefront lots. It's more of a smaller interior community, a lot less of their flashy amenities that we saw on the peninsula, but just a much more small scale community. They've done all the road work. They got their community marina approved, just as Dan mentioned, is a 20 slipper as well, that they got approved here in their last April meeting. So they are moving forward with an expected one-day sale this summer, which is that auction style sale, is typically what they do, unless they change their method this go around, but I don't anticipate it.
I don't know if you've been up there, it's wooded,
It is.
a lot of big trees, and the slopes going down to the water are rather extreme. You would
Very
think you
steep.
were on a riverbank. And for your general information, they're still sending out flyers and letters to people around the lake asking if they're interested in selling their property. So they haven't calmed down, they're still looking.
Definitely.
Where is this one located?
This is off County Road 2980 and south side of 1396. So there's an intersection right by
There's a county road on the other side also.
the other county road.
Farm Market Road, excuse me.
Oh, Farm to Market, yeah, 1396, yes.
On the other side.
1743.
Oh, yes,
1743,
1743, it does merge.
It was all the way over to
Correct.
1743.
So Dan's community that we just presented, he's off a little bit further to the west compared to this community. This property is further east of the lake at this time. So just wanted to give an update that this is coming down soon.
I believe the sale is June the 22nd.
June the 22nd, tentative date. Thank you, Doc. All right, we'll bounce over to Lake Ralph Hall to give a quick update on some different things here. So this was a snapshot from their monthly update. They're very nice to put these out for us, Upper Trinity, to give us a lot of details on where they are at in the construction process. Big call outs here is that they are 87% complete for dam completion at this time. So lots of work been done. They are in the home stretch, and that call out at the last bullet is the dam will begin to hold water within the next month. So June timeframe is when we're expecting some form of impoundment with water at Lake Ralph Hall. If Mother Nature acts accordingly, we do have data that exists for when Bodark Lake filled. Bodark Lake watershed is much larger than Lake Ralph Hall. Lake Ralph Hall is half the size of Bodark Lake, but historically what we've seen, Bodark Lake filled in roughly 12 to 13 months from impoundment to opening day. This is half the size. I wouldn't expect too much longer of a time frame for this one. So we will see what happens. Mother Nature will decide how much rain we will get over the next year or two, but overall, really great improvement. We've seen around the water, boat ramp construction is well underway at this time. They're doing a lot of cleaning up. They're 90% finished on State Highway 34 and cleaning out that reservoir west of the bridge. So they're very close to final phases here. It won't be long before we may lose some equipment to the dam and pounding, like we typically see at lakes. So lots of good stuff on the Lake Ralph Hall front. Also wanted to show this nice picture that they had here. I'm not too privy to exactly what all this entails, but it is part of the project. They just completed this month. It's called a balancing reservoir that holds 15 million gallons per side. They call it a bathtub effect, is what they reference specifically. And so in total it holds 30 million gallons. Now, sounds like a lot of water, but realistically they pump out over 50 million gallons from this lake on a daily usage at full capacity. So this is less than half a day's reserve. It's about 27 miles south of the lake. But this did get completed, just showing that they are continuously making progress on this project. And as soon as water starts to be filled up in this lake, we'll start to see all of these things fill up. So lots of good progress there.
Just from an engineering perspective, what that is they have to pump the water uphill to get to that point, and that's on a ridge that then goes gravity flow to service locations from that point, so it's, I'm not sure what the total distance was, but that's just the uphill pump to that point and then downhill gravity flow from there.
Is that in the county?
I don't think so.
27 miles south they referenced.
Yeah, I don't think so. It's not Fannin County, because I mean, the
Maybe
lake's right on the
just
border.
out.
The lake's right on the edge of Fannin County, so.
Right. So it may be just out of the county here, but it is connected to this project, so just want to call it out. Thank you, Steve. It's good to have that insight. All right, so just a brief update on elections. I know we're almost to the end of election season. I know everybody is ready to wrap that up at this point. So I wanted to call out city elections. Bonham had a recent election. This all happened on May 2nd, so we are well past that time frame. All their charter amendments have passed. Honey Grove reinstated their mayor, so he has locked in for another few years there. Their alderman, it is the same, Mr. Cunningham there, and then Kari Perkins is a new add-on for that seat holder in the city council for Honey Grove. Ladonia, the mayor was also reinstated there, so same mayor for both Honey Grove and Ladonia. And aldermen were re-elected. Micah and Amy stay the same, but there is going to be a to-be-determined runoff between Russell Duckworth and Jenny Killen. So to be continued on that. They have not announced a date. They've got to work through that as a city, but there was a 55 to 55 tied vote in Ladonia of all places. So that was an interesting one, so we'll wait for that. But more details to come there, because I believe Mr. Russell Duckworth is on our Lake Ralph Hall zoning commission, if I'm not mistaken. So just want to call that out. Outside of that, county elections, they are still in progress, so we are in the runoff for county judge at this time. Early voting is May 18th through the 22nd, so starting next Monday, I believe. It is already coming up, and election day is 2 weeks from today on May 26th. So if you're registered to vote, get out and vote. You can go to the next slide. All right, that is all of my housekeeping items. Keep everybody up to speed on all the new things around Boater and Lake Ralph Hall. Just want to move on to the next discussion item and possible action to set the next regular Fannin County Lake Economic Development Committee meeting for June 9th, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. We will be back at Darrell Hall Education Center, the AgriLife building at 2505 North Center Street, Bonham, Texas, 75418. I will open it up to the committee to see if we have a motion to set our next meeting.
Next meeting, June 9th.
Di makes the motion. Do we have a second? Stephanie seconds. All right, all in favor say aye.
Is that on a Tuesday?
It is. It is the second Tuesday of the month at 5:30 p.m. It is lined up with your commissioners court meeting, so come and see me afterwards. All right, go on to our next item. So I just want to call out, we are sitting in Bodark Hall. Gracious to our committee member here, Jeff, giving us the space for the last couple months since we had some conflicts. We'll be back at our normal location next month, but just wanted to call out, this is Bodark Hall. This is a great place to be. This is one of the places to be in Honey Grove at this point, so appreciate you giving us the opportunity to be here. All right, and we'll move on to the last one, everybody's favorite here. I do have this QR code. If anybody didn't want to ask questions directly, you're welcome to scan it and ask some questions, and we'll answer that privately with you. Any questions, feedback, but I will move on to adjourn this meeting if I have a motion. I've got Di with a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
I got a second from Mr. Kopp, and all in favor say aye. We are adjourned, I believe.